Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we are going up to the heights of ambition and pride and downfall. We're talking about the Tower of Babel.
A story that's echoed through millennia. I mean, think about it. It's inspired art literature, even how we think about languages.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're using the YouTube video from Bible Stories to guide us.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, it calls out some awful truths that you might not expect.
Yeah, so we're not just retelling like a kid's Bible story here, right? This is about psychology and power and the dangers of unchecked ambition. But I guess where do we even start?
But every story needs a beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one begins with a man named Nimrod. Yeah, the book of Genesis calls him like a mighty hunter before the Lord. But like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, I was wondering that. Like, was he just like really good with a spear or something?
Yeah, there's got to be more to it, right?
Yeah.
The video makes this point that the hunting wasn't just about animals. It was about Nimrod's leadership, like his power to bring people together. So he wasn't just a hunter. He was a builder of cities, starting with Babel itself. You know, that archetype of the ambitious leader driving civilization forward.
So instead of spreading out like God told them to humanity as like clumping together, forming cities, reaching for something more, were they like going for immortality?
Kind of, yeah. They wanted to make a name for themselves, an eternal legacy. The video says their goal was to build a tower so high it would reach the heavens. So it wasn't just about staying together. It was about like achieving a kind of godlike status through their own efforts.
Reaching for the stars, literally. But we know how this story goes. God sees this tower and, well, he's not too happy about it.
No, he's not. It's really interesting, like this clash of perspectives. God wanted humanity to spread out to fill the earth, but they decided to defy that plan and seek unity on their own terms. And that's where things get really interesting. God intervenes, confuses their languages, and scatters them across the globe.
Whoa, can you imagine the chaos? One minute you're like working with your neighbor, the next you can't understand a word they're saying. This one act changes all of human history, leading to the like diversity of languages we see today.
Yeah, it's a powerful image, and it raises some deep questions like, where's the line between ambition and hubris? When does our desire to achieve become like rebellion against a higher power? Or even against the natural order of things.
So it's not like wrong to be ambitious to strive for greatness. It's more about like the motivation behind it, the foundation on which we're building our goals.
Yeah, that's a key insight. And the video goes even further, taking us from Nimrod and this like origin story to a more concrete historical figure, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon.
Yeah.
He's got quite a reputation, conquering nations, building wonders, but also struggling with his own pride and ambition.
Yeah, for those who aren't like Bible scholars, can you give us some context on Nebuchadnezzar? Who is this guy?
Right. So Nebuchadnezzar was a powerful king, ruled over Babylon, centuries after Nimrod. He conquered Judah, which is where the Israelites were living at the time, God's chosen people. He was known for his military prowess, but also his grand building projects, like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which were said to be built for his homesick wife.
Wow, talk about a grand gesture. But even with all that power and wealth, Nebuchadnezzar wasn't immune to pride. The video mentions a dream he had about this towering tree that gets cut down and bound.
Yeah, and that's where we see the connections to the Tower of Babel. The tree represents Nebuchadnezzar's ambition, his ego, which ultimately leads to his downfall. It's like a warning, a foreshadowing of what happens when you don't acknowledge a power greater than yourself.
So what happens? Does he listen to the warning? Or does he, like, give in to his pride?
Well, he doesn't get the message right away. Unfortunately for him. He keeps going on this path of conquest and self-aggrandizement and ends up having a pretty dramatic fall from grace.
Yeah.
The video describes him like descending into madness, driven from his throne, and living like an animal for years.
Wow, that's intense. To see someone so mighty brought so low, it really shows that no matter how high you climb, pride can lead to a pretty hard fall. But I'm guessing there's more to the story. It can't just end with him going crazy in the wilderness.
You're right, there's a twist. Nebuchadnezzar eventually recovers his sanity and finally acknowledges God's power. It becomes a story not just about downfall, but about redemption. He realizes that even the most powerful king is still subject to a higher authority.
So we've got this like powerful lesson in humility, but if history teaches us anything, it's that humans aren't very good at learning from the past. So is that where Belshazzar comes in, Nebuchadnezzar's successor, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, exactly. Decades go by, and it seems like Babylon forgot the lessons of Nebuchadnezzar's reign. Belshazzar, who's now king, throws this like lavish feast, and he decides to use these sacred vessels that were looted from the temple in Jerusalem as party cups.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty disrespectful, not just to the Israelites, but to their God, too. You'd think someone would like warned him or something.
Right. Pride and arrogance have a way of like clouding judgment. And as you might expect, this sacrilegious party trick doesn't go unpunished. Suddenly, this ghostly hand appears and writes these mysterious words on the wall, Mene tekel parsin.
Hold on, wait a minute. What do those words even mean, and why are they so terrifying?
So Mene tekel parsin are Aramaic words.
Yeah.
And the video explains that they basically translate to a message of judgment. It's like a divine scale weighing Belshazzar and finding him wanted. It predicts the fall of Babylon. And get this, it's happening that very night.
Oh man, cue the dramatic music so no one can understand the message except, of course, our old pal Daniel.
Exactly. Daniel, who's known for his wisdom and ability to interpret dreams and visions, is called in to explain this ominous writing. He tells Belshazzar that his kingdom's about to be divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Talk about a party foul.
Oh no, I can't imagine the look on his face. His kingdom's about to crumble all because he decided to use sacred temple artifacts for his cocktail hour.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that actions have consequences, and that disrespecting the divine can have some pretty serious repercussions. And just as predicted, that very night, the Medes and Persians invade and Babylon falls. The video presents this as not just a military defeat, but like a cosmic reckoning, divine retribution for Babylon's arrogance and its mistreatment of God's people.
Wow, so we've come full circle from Nimrod's ambition building Babel to centuries later when Babylon falls because of the pride and hubris of its rulers. But the video doesn't stop there, does it? It takes us all the way to the book of Revelation.
You got it. The story of Babylon doesn't end with its historical fall. It kind of evolves into something much bigger. This symbolic representation of everything that opposes God. In Revelation, Babylon becomes this corrupt city, the embodiment of materialism, greed, and all things anti-God.
So Babylon gets a rebrand. It goes from a physical city to this like mythical representation of evil. Why is that? What makes Babylon such a powerful and enduring symbol?
It's really fascinating, isn't it? The video says that Babylon represents the ultimate form of human pride and ambition gone wrong. It's about creating systems and societies that put power and wealth over justice and compassion. It's about building towers that reach for the heavens, but are built on shaky foundations.
So it's like we talked about Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar building their own towers, but you're saying that even today we're still susceptible to building our own versions of Babylon.
Absolutely. It's not just about physical structures. The video challenges us to think about the towers we build in our own lives. You know, what are our ambitions built on? Are they driven by a genuine desire to make a difference? Or are they fueled by ego, greed, and the pursuit of power?
It makes you think about the institutions we create, the systems we uphold. Are they serving the common good? Or are they just perpetuating the same cycles of greed and oppression that characterized ancient Babylon?
Exactly. And just like the historical Babylon, these modern-day towers are ultimately destined to crumble. The book of Revelation predicts the destruction of this symbolic Babylon, signifying the eventual triumph of good over evil. The question is, what role will each of us play in that story?
So what can we do? Are we all just doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past? Or is there a way to break free from these cycles of ambition, pride, and downfall?
Yeah, it feels pretty bleak if we're all just building like modern-day Babylons that are doomed to fall. Is there any hope? Or are we just stuck repeating these historical patterns of destruction?
Well, I wouldn't say it's all doom and gloom. The video actually ends on kind of a hopeful note. You know, the Tower of Babel's story is also about connection, like humanity's desire to come together and create something lasting. The problem wasn't the building itself, it was like the motivation behind it.
So it's not about giving up on ambition. It's more about like redirecting it, building on a different foundation.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Instead of striving for power and recognition, what if we focused on building things that actually benefit humanity? What if our ambitions were rooted in compassion collaboration, a genuine desire to make the world a better place?
Yeah, it's a powerful shift in perspective.
Yeah.
It's not about how high we can build our towers, but about the connections we make, the communities we create, the impact we have on others.
Yeah, that's the heart of it. The video even uses this metaphor of building bridges instead of towers. Like, imagine if we channeled our energy into bridging divides, fostering understanding, creating a more just and equitable world. Maybe that's the real lesson of the Tower of Babel.
I like that building bridges instead of towers. It speaks to a different kind of legacy, one that's not about personal gain, but about collective well-being. But how do we actually put this into practice? It's easy to talk about good intentions, but actually making real-world change is a lot harder.
You're right. It takes a conscious effort to examine our motivations, to question the systems we're a part of, and to make choices that align with our values. It's about asking ourselves, what kind of world am I contributing to? What am I building? And for whom?
Yeah, and it's not just about grand gestures or huge societal changes. It starts with the choices we make every day, the relationships we build, the way we treat each other. It's about recognizing that we're all connected and that our actions have ripple effects way beyond what we can imagine.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the awful truth that the video was talking about.
Hmm.
The truth is we all have the potential to contribute to either Babylon or something better. It's a choice we make every day with every action we take, every word we speak, every relationship we build.
Wow, this deep dive has been quite a journey. We started with this ancient story about a tower reaching for the heavens, and we ended up exploring the very nature of human ambition and its impact on the world.
It's been a fascinating discussion. And I think the biggest takeaway is this. We all have the power to choose what we build. We can keep constructing towers of ego and division, or we can start building bridges of compassion and connection. The choice is ours.
That's a great message to end on, and a lot for us to think about as we navigate our own ambitions and goals. A big thanks to our expert for guiding us through this complex and thought-provoking topic.
My pleasure. Always happy to dig into these timeless stories and see what we can learn from them.
And to all of you listening out there, we hope this deep dive sparked some new ideas and maybe even inspired you to re-examine your own towers. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep building bridges.